So you didn't get
And welcome back for another episode. How we doing, guys?
Doing good, thank you. How you going, James?
Good. G'day.
Realised I didn't say the name of the podcast because I didn't want to get it wrong again. But yeah.
We can go for hello and welcome to Cage Chronicles. Featuring James Brown Sugar, Kevin, and Mr. Miyagi over here on the side.
Kevin. Yeah.
Kevin.
So how we doing? How's it going? It's been about 3 weeks since we did our last one. I think it's 3 weeks or 4 weeks maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I was away in Thailand for a week. You were there as well. Then I was sick. And then we just got back into it now. So yeah, how's everything been?
Good. I think it was real nice to get away to Thailand. Obviously had a hectic, busy week there for the Gamma World Championships. Yeah. So that was really cool. But you'd been to Thailand before.
I've been to Thailand before. I'm not a massive fan of Bangkok. It's not my favourite place in Thailand. And we were a bit far out. So where we were, it was a bit like 45 minutes out the centre. So it was a bit of a trek to get into the main bit. But yeah, the actual organisation of the Gamma event was amazing. I thought it was really good. Considering how many fighters were in there, I couldn't say wasn't nothing bad about it really. Everyone got heaps of fights, lots of pro fighters there, even though it was an amateur event, which is part of let people in fight.
How does that work?
Like, you just basically let anyone fight under the amateur rules, and again, like, it just seems to be one of the things that Gamma do, and it's pretty cool that you end up going against some really high level guys. I mean, you did last time against high level pro fighters, even when you were an amateur. Obviously doesn't always work out well, but there's some really good matchups. I mean, like, from our gym, we took over Ren and Jack and Ryan, and Ren had an amazing fight against a girl from China, pro fighter, and she was like, she's very high level. Like, she'd had a heap of pro fights, and I thought
ex-UFC fighter as well.
Yeah, and then I thought Ren had won the whole thing. So when it got to the end, I was thinking I thought she'd won the fight, but I think she was down to win the first round. They changed it, and she'll end up losing on decision. But I thought she'd won the whole fight. Jack had an epic fight. It was really good. I thought he caused more damage. And then Ryan had 2 fights. Won his first one against almost like a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu guy. Like, he was in some really crazy submissions and stuff, and he just, like, the guy who can't get submitted. And the second fight was against the guy who won the whole thing, who won the championship last year. So it all depends on the draws as well. But as Australia, we won 1 gold, 1 silver, 2 bronze.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I think it's like open class. Like, that's why you can do professional and amateur as well. But
as long as it's under the amateur rules and it goes under the amateur,
yeah. Because like Steve said, it's a bit I think it's really good in terms of you get to really test yourself against high level opponents and stuff. Like, if you're fighting someone who's pro, you know that they're experienced, they've got that time, like, either in the ring or in the cage, and you get to really see how you go with that level. But also sometimes, like, if you're going to an amateur event and then the person that you're fighting is like wicked experienced, like, there can be like quite a difference in skill level and stuff as well. But still, I thought all the guys did like absolutely like brilliant.
I would say it was similar to jiu-jitsu. Like, you go into an open competition, blue belt against a black belt. Yeah, you know. But again, black belt doesn't always win, depending on the level of that blue belt. But it was really good.
What about because you were a head coach for Australia, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you decide, or how's it grouped the people to go over? Like, I know last one you had like a lot of fighters out of our gym. This time it
was more of a time frame this time, because they don't give you much notice. So it was only a matter of weeks. So it's obviously trying to get a decent group to go over
that are ready
to go on and are willing to go over to within like a 4 weeks notice to get over to that to go over to the Bangkok and get all the way to Thailand. But I mean, considering we took over 10 fighters, we got 4 medals, 1 gold, 1 silver, so 2 bronze
from Australia.
Yeah, 10 from Australia. So we did pretty good.
Was that many different gyms, or was that?
Yeah, it was a heap of different gyms. There was like a couple of Australian guys who trained in Thailand.
Yeah,
there was 2 lads from Masters. So there was Liam,
Ryan.
Yeah, Ryan fought with Path to Hex, and Ryan beat him.
That recent, the one.
Yeah, and he did really well. He got silver. Then his training partner, Artemis, he won gold. And then Josh the Bosch, he got the bronze. It was really good. Who else got bronze?
I don't know.
It was Marwan. Marwan got bronze. He did really good. Yeah, he's very good.
There's so many. Yeah, at the end of the day, like a lot of moving parts. Obviously, getting all the fighters ready for everything. Because like I was like coaching as well with Steve. So like just when you said that previously, he was Australian.
Assistant
Australian
coach Kevin. Yeah.
What
was that? But no, it was really, really cool. Obviously, like you get all the fighters ready and stuff, wrapping hands and everything, and then like it's so full on. Like got 3 rings going simultaneously. And then you're just trying to look at the schedule, the live update to kind of see like, right, who do we need to get ready? Who's going to be warmed up? Okay, we got one guy going on in this ring. We've got another fighter, like maybe a fight or 2 after is going to be in the ring next to it. And then just trying to like get all the moving parts to work efficiently for it. But no, it was a wicked experience. I think the hardest, well, not the hardest thing, but just being in Bangkok, like it was so humid, man. Like it was absolutely nuts. So when we first went to the venue, it was like the top floor of a
it's like a mall, like it's massive mall. Like it was like it must have been 6 levels, and the 6th level, I think was it the 6th level? Something like that. Anyway, whatever.
6,
But then some people went up the escalator, but there's so many fighters going up, so we decided to walk up the stairs. And I thought I was going to die by the time I got to the top of the stairs. It was so hot, and I was just like, I'm so unfit here.
Yeah,
but it was a massive like venue, but it was cool because it was in the mall, so you go out and get food and stuff like that. And
So do you have like countries, like this country won the whole thing sort of thing?
Kazakhstan.
Okay, right.
I think.
Yeah.
From memory, Kazakhstan won.
Yeah, they got heaps. Yeah.
So it works like that, like the countries kind of win. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just gone by individual champions and obviously gold, silver, bronze, but then they'll have an overall winner. And I'm pretty sure it was Kazakhstan.
So basically, when you're getting like your medals and stuff, like for your division, obviously, like they'll have like first, second, and joint third, and then when you get your medals, like they'll have like the countries and stuff and your name behind, so they can see, oh, like this country in this division has won like first place, this country has won second place, and so on. But then that one, Kazakhstan, was like the overall, like they're
as the most medals.
Yeah.
What the rules, are you saying amateur MMA rule set? So is there strikes on the floor?
There is. It's slightly different from the amateur that would be here. It's because Gamma want to try and get MMA in the Olympics.
Yeah. So
certain things like amateur MMA, if someone hit the floor, I could kick them in the legs.
Yeah.
But they don't want to have any kicks downwards to the legs or any to the body because it doesn't look that good. They want to try and make it look good for that for MMA as well, for obviously the Olympics.
Yeah, like a little bit more appealing, I think, and that's kind of why it's in a ring as well.
Yeah.
Was there like punches, like if you get mount or something, you can punch?
100%.
Just thinking because
everything else is the same. It's just you can punch them on the floor, but just
you're not allowed to knee them in the head standing up. But essentially, and then like you got your like shin pads on and stuff as well, 7-ounce gloves. But other than knees to the head in striking on the feet, you pretty much do
everything's the same. But then on the floor, you can knee bar, you can foot lock, you can do everything else. You just can't heel hook.
Can't heel hook.
And what about actually someone was in Eternal, say, because you got amateur and then you got pro. What's the rule set for amateur in there? You can't heel hook.
It's very similar to the amateur rules in Australia, but just a few different things that don't appear. They don't want it to look too bad, so then they take them bits out. But it's pretty much the same. Like, there's so many knockouts, there's so many finishes, so many subs. Some real high level guys there.
Do you remember that head kick just before Ren for
the girl?
Yeah. So we were like standing because basically they call you out when you're ready to fight and everything. So like the fighter and then the 2 coaches will kind of go to this prep point station. and essentially you're just kind of waiting there, and the fight before you will still be on, and then you're kind of watching that fight, waiting for it to finish, get the decision before you and your fighter go up and get in the ring, get ready and everything. But while we were standing there waiting, Ren was like in front of us, kind of looking at us, and Steve, myself, we were all like giving advice and everything, trying to get in the right kind of frame of mind before the fight. And then all of a sudden, because we're facing this way, I think I was like talking to Ren, and then Steve just goes like, "Oh," right, because he's looking, and at the corner of his eye, he sees this knockout. Next thing, I look up, and all I see is this one chick just like out on the ground. And like, yeah, you saw the knockout better than me, but like, what was the knockout like?
Just like this lead leg head kick. It was amazing. Like foot on the face, boof, and the girl just went out and just went stiff and then just hit the floor.
Yeah,
it was just before she went in, but like I couldn't stop her reacting.
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh shit." And I was like, "Oh yeah, go on, Ren."
Let's go, Ren. Like, it was so funny, hey, because obviously you're so nervous before you fight anyway. And then I could see Steve was like, he reacted, right, but then he was like, "Oh wait," like trying to not let Ren look behind or anything. And so you see the knockout, because oh man, and she didn't move for like a good little.
She was out.
I was just thinking about because when we were at Battle Royale with the boys, because we had 3 in for. Was this the 3?
Yeah, just the 3.
And Caleb. Yeah. So, but that was C-class rule set, and the commission came up to all the coaches and that, and said, and the fighters, and said like about whether it's worth to keep the C-class rule set in WA or whether they're going to do away with it, because if they do away with it, that's it won't come back. But they wanted feedback from all the WA gyms about whether it's worth, because obviously with the C class the main thing is no striking once it hits the floor, so it's like mainly control.
Straight to the body.
You can body shot on the floor.
Straight to the body.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, just no head shots once it hits the ground. Yeah,
but I think it's a good like stepping stone for someone who's not that confident, really wants to fight, maybe don't want to jump on like a big amateur show, because there's some big amateur shows in WA. It's a good way to just step into there, especially if you come from a jiu-jitsu background and you're striking, you're not as confident. You're more likely to jump in and give it a go.
I definitely think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it was worth keeping the C-class rules. Yeah, I think it's good. Like, knowing that you're not going to get pummeled in the face once you hit the ground, it gives you a chance to work and get some experience.
Because I heard when I was away that you became an MMA fighter.
I did, I did.
Yeah, I saw this on the story, because obviously, like, you're jiu-jitsu, but I was flicking away while I was in Thailand, hopped on the Instagram
Black
story.
belt in Taekwondo as well.
Black belt in Taekwondo. Yeah.
Junior black belt.
And then and then you're sparring Alden. I saw you with all your MMA.
Yeah, so
how did that go?
I just skipped everything. I went, who's the biggest, baddest person in the gym here?
Yeah.
And just bring him on. That's what I thought, Like, I just thought,
so
I need a test. I haven't done any sparring for quite a while, so I was like, just bring on the Jamaican warrior and let's see what he's made of.
Did you pass the test?
Mate, I was bobbing. I put him in a box. I boxed him up. I put him in a phone booth. I was just cutting him up, boxing him up. He didn't know where to go. He couldn't turn anywhere. I was ducking and weaving. My head was...
Did you jiu-jitsu him?
No, I didn't. I thought my superior jiu-jitsu skills.
You're doing striking jits.
No, I was like, I'm not even going to use my jits because it's just unfair advantage. So I thought, like, I'll be like, these guys that it's like, I'm gonna let him do something. So I just kept it on the feet.
Because the clip that I've seen doesn't reflect that.
I've been working on blocking punches with my head, so I was just trying to like block the hits with my face, and it was working well.
I saw a body shot on the story.
The body shot that hurt him.
That hurt him.
That hurt him. Yeah, he hit me with a body shot and hurt his hand. Yeah,
is that why you went down?
That was pretty funny. Like, Casey's yelling at me to take him down, and I was just like, oh, I can't even get anywhere near him. And then he hit me with that body shot, and I was just like, and then I was like laughing because I was just like so funny. It's just like it's a different.
Where did he hit you? Did he hit you like in the solar plexus on the liver? That's good. And you stayed well.
Yeah, I stayed center. He was obviously like not going full bore, but
liver shots suck though. I feel like if you get hit in the solar plexus, you can kind of like through that, like brave it out. But if you get hit in the liver, like Alden, actually, he was one of the first times I sparred him. I had never met him before, and I didn't know he was pro or anything. And when I first came to the gym, I was like quite like heavy-handed, and I was like really egotistic. And he hit me a couple good shots, and then I was like, well, like I'm just gonna like take a few to give a few. And then I remember I landed one good shot, like it was like an overhand, and I hit him, and I was like, yeah, come on. And then like 10 seconds later, he like kicked me in my liver so hard, and like for the first second I was like, oh, maybe I'll brave it out. And then my body just shut down, legs dropped, and I was on the floor, and literally like, do you know when you're having all those little groans and stuff, like all this stuff as well. But
I've been dropped once with a liver shot. Well, not in training, I've been dropped a number of times, but in a fight, just once with a knee to the liver, and it was the worst feeling. I got back up, but like,
did the fight end?
No, it's the one that knocked him out with the spin kick.
Whoa!
Yeah, but I don't put that on the video.
Yeah.
But so like we're in a clinch, and he just like, we were in a clinch position. He lifted my arm, and then he just hit this knee, and the knee looks like nothing.
Yeah, but just good.
And
spot.
then I disengaged, pushed him away, and then I just went, and I just dropped to the floor, and I was like, my body's not working here. And I got up at like count 8 or something. I don't know, don't know how I got up. Ended up winning the fight, but like it was just the worst. Body shot just shuts everything down. Your whole central nervous system just shuts down.
Yeah, it was good. Like, I mean, it was fun. He gave me a blood nose, hurt my rib. I was a bit like, I did a round with Casey, a round with Alden, a round with one of the other boys, and then I was like retired again. I was like,
just lose a couple of brain cells.
But I didn't plan on sparring with those guys, but somehow that.
Are you going to spar again?
Yeah, I think I will. Yeah, it was enjoyable.
I'll catch you in some rounds.
Yeah, it was enjoyable, but I was like, I mean, obviously, I love on the ground. Like, I love having jiu-jitsu and striking. It's I love that. You know, I know you can get punched as well, but it's quite fun because it just changes the game and opens it up. But obviously, like the MMA grappling as well is like, it was so different. It's like no gi is the same as gi but different, and then and like. Gi and no gi are the same as MMA grappling but different. It's like the same thing, but you have to like flick. You can do them all, but you have to like get into the zones and flick the switch, and you do have to practice each thing.
So the way I treat the MMA grappling is that my mindset, which is not everyone's mindset. Mindset's always like, I'm going to strike you until you give me a submission. Or I'm just going to strike you. Yeah. Whereas like. Some people they just literally switch to jiu-jitsu when they hit the floor. Yeah. Even some MMA fights, you see them just doing jiu-jitsu and a little bit of strikes or whatever, but mostly just going for the jiu-jitsu. But to me, it's like control position, strike them, and then it'll open me something up because then they'll always give me something easier. Yeah.
What I did notice is like, say with someone like Alden, it's like if I do jiu-jitsu, like say we were doing like MMA rounds or whatever, and then it goes to the ground. It's like I would have to use my jiu-jitsu to beat him, because if I try and MMA grappling him, he's going to out MMA grapple me. Like he just gets up and he gets on top of me and holds me down. If I'm just trying to like pin him in like good spots for strikes, or if I'm trying to like just get back to my feet, that where he just outdoes me there. So I would have to change to like, I would have to be using like close guard and trying to find like sneaky submissions and suck him in and get things like that. So then you have to do your jiu-jitsu. But obviously training with him for when he's got fights coming up, I try and do MMA grappling, but I try not to do like full jiu-jitsu. I try and make it like an MMA grappling, but he's always going to like kind of like he wants to get up, and I'm like, this bastard, he's going to get up. Like I pin him, I get on top, I got top side control, and then he's like underhook, and I'm like, he's going to get up. He's going to get up, and then he just goes and gets up. But I just like switch, take the back, like instead of like letting him get back up, I just quickly like change to something else. But I was like, how does he just when he's like out? You know?
Just got different. I was gonna say like different attributes. Like even at that, when you were saying about like that kind of MMA grappling as opposed to being very jitsy. Like some guys being as soon as they hit the floor, they just go to like that very jitsy vibe. I used to be like that. Yeah. I remember I made like obviously mistakes to learn from previous fights, but I would get to the floor and then I'd go into jits mode and like just seeking submissions the whole time and not being able to finish any of them. And then when you take like that MMA grappling side of things, and you get position, I realize, oh my gosh, I can just like hit from here. I can just ground and pound. You can get a finish. Like in MMA, you get to a position whether it's like there in bottom turtle or something like that. You could literally finish a fight there with strikes.
Yeah.
And rather than just kind of like rushing things too much to try and get a, you know, like, oh, jump on the back, get my hooks in so I can like finish with a choke. That can be like a little bit, well, quite a risk if it's not on. But like, yeah, you keep the position, smash a couple strikes and stuff, and then that's when their hands and everything start going out, and then you get gaps, and then boom, then you chuck your hooks in. You kind of jump between the two. But even some people, whether guys in the gym or even like my pro debut against Brad Ramsey, like I didn't feel like he was super like jitsy per se, but just super explosive. Do you remember when I got like on top of him full mount, or even like top kind of half guard side control?
Yeah,
got his legs on the cage, and then and I'm usually quite used to controlling on the top. Like if I get to a good position, I feel quite comfortable. But he just like exploded, kicked off to the cage, and then we did like a full roll. And next thing he was on top. And I feel like guys like Alden, Moses is like that sometimes as well. Just got this like really good explosive like athleticism. And then if you use that well, obviously it can still transition really, really well for MMA and stuff like that as well. But you obviously got quite a skill difference with the jits. So you use that, and then imagine, you get to like a really good position, like you're able to like hit your strikes from there and control like a lot better than other guys would as well.
Yeah.
But
it's nice. We got a few guys in, and Corny in Eternal. Yeah,
we've got a heap of fights coming up February, so we're going to be super busy. So February we've got Eternal.
One show.
Two shows.
Path to Hex has changed now, yeah?
To Ascension? Yeah.
Ascension fight.
So we've got beginning of Feb is Eternal, so Alden's fighting for the welterweight title. Courtney's finally got a match against she's a good girl. And then Harvey's matched up, Jesse's matched up. We're trying to get as many of the guys. We've got obviously a big fight team. We're trying to get matched up, but there's not that many matches out there. And then on the Ascension is an amateur show, and then Moses is fighting for the flyweight title. Ryan's got the interim bantamweight titles. He's fighting for the against the bantamweight champ for the bantamweight title, and then Renee's fighting as well. So we're just trying to get people matched up, and then you got Domination coming up. We'll hopefully get someone there because we've only been on the first one, and then we haven't been able to get matches with them since then. And you got battlegrounds coming up. You got jiu-jitsu coming up. That's in March, I think. Lots of different things coming up, so we're just going to be super busy February. Right, so even we opened the gym today, everyone was back in, everyone was training, so
It'll be a big start to the year as well. Get everyone back in, get training again.
Because I know a lot of people have been asking me to fight, but like some of them are not in the gym.
Yeah.
I'm like, what are you thinking? Like, I'm not going to put you in if you're not in the gym, but there's so many guys want to fight, so many guys and girls that the guys who are putting the time in, that's the ones I'm going to focus on. So
yeah. Well, it comes down to at the end of the day, you need to have that motivation to like be able to like train consistently and stuff. Yeah. Even if you're not like just if you don't have a fight coming up, doesn't mean. I'm one to speak now, considering I've just like literally had a couple of weeks off and everything.
Oh, you went on holiday?
I went on holiday, yeah. But yeah, even like if you don't have a fight lined up, that's like opportune time for like learning and like technique and skill development and stuff. Like you need to be in the gym just like all the time. You don't learn it in like one class, like you're not going
to learn a lot. You're going to learn a little bit in your you're going to learn a little bit in your fight camps, as in like you're going against this opponent and need to work on this or whatever. Yeah. But it's outside the fight camps that you're going to really get better. Yeah. That's the time when you can experiment with your jiu-jitsu. You can work on strikes and footwork and everything else. So that's the time you really want to like get progressed. But you get some guys who'll just train in fight camps. You hardly ever see them in between, and they're wondering why they're not progressing as fast. Because you need to be training, you need to be in the gym and having fun and learning new stuff. And then when it comes to fight camp, it gets a bit more serious, and then we can really put the hard work in. But that you focus on cutting weight, you focus on conditioning, you focus on everything else. It's not the time to be learning brand new skill sets, I
think it's like also like just a little bit of like understanding like what it actually takes to kind of get the result that you want, or in terms of like what you actually do it for. So like obviously fighting is such a like fun experience, like competing, but if you think about that, like the kind of true love, or at least for myself, isn't necessarily just like aiming for that, like, oh, I want to fight, so that's all I'm going to focus on. Like if you really do, like if I didn't have a opportunity to fight, like again for like another 3-4 years, like I'm still going to train. Why? Because like my love is like the art of like martial arts, or training the sport of it, you know, like learning new skills. Like think about when you first started and you couldn't do anything, and then like you have that kind of like openness of wanting to learn. You're going to class, you're like, oh man, learned this cool new move and everything, and then you start putting it into practice, and then whether you're sparring, whether you're rolling, you kind of hit it for the first time, and then you have that little like mental when you're like, oh, like I did it, like I did the thing. That I feel like some people forget that as time goes on, and they fight and stuff. Like you don't stop learning if you can like really just kind of take a step back and go like, no, like what I love is like being in the gym, that learning kind of phase of things, and like going in, you're just putting in the time in. It's like you can't not get better.
No, yeah. And you see some of the fighters on you're watching UFC and things like that. There's certain fighters that every time they fight, they bring something new. And it's like, oh shit, man, it's like crazy how he just keeps redeveloping himself and just like getting better all the time. Whereas other ones, you go, well, you know what they do, and this is their skill set, and someone just figures it out, and then they suddenly keep getting beat all the time. Whereas other people are bringing these new things to the table and new skill sets. And you know, I was watching the last UFC with Colby Covington against Leon Edwards, and just Leon's just getting better and better and better. Like, and then he'll come against someone who's better than him, but like. He was just he was doing his grappling in the fight. He didn't have to. And like again, like you could tell he's not as good as he's striking, but like he's just trying to progress all the time, and that's the mindset you want to do. Just training all the time, and to me, it's like enjoying the training, learning, and you're never going to learn the same things. People go, oh yeah, I'm getting a bit stagnant or whatever. Yeah, you are, because it's very repetitive what we do, and you have to learn a skill set, but to progress, you're going to have to do that bit, and then try and make it as fun as you possibly can. You're just going to get better. You know what I mean?
I think that'll be a really good thing to talk about, is like when it comes to like motivation, like why you do it and all of that kind of stuff. And then I feel like maybe after the break and stuff, like we'll go like just chat a bit about like like what, first of all, like what motivation looks like in MMA or in your training and all of that, and kind of like remembering why I do it. But we'll have a little break.
We'll have a little break, and then we'll have a word from our sponsors, but we haven't got any yet. So we'll anyone wants to sponsor us, you know, Manscaped, who can just
they sponsor every podcast that's going. So shout out.
Easy. Okay. All right, we're back in again. We're back in. Okay,
We're going.
Awesome.
So let's have a little touch on motivation, especially because it's this week between Christmas and New Year, where now I don't know what day of the week it is. Because the gym's not open. I've got no schedule. I'm eating lots of cheese and chocolate and beers and whiskey still. So getting people back to the gym after this time, it can be hard. Like today, we opened the gym for the open mat, and it was pretty damn busy. Fighters are back in, people wanting to roll again. But there's certain people you won't see till mid-January or near the end of January, because they'll lose that motivation. So how do you guys maintain your motivation? How do you keep yourself training? What's the advice that you guys would give?
Yeah, I'm currently in my snack boy era, so I've just been smashing the snacks every day. But
and what day is it today?
Saturday.
Oh, very well done.
But motivation's a hard one though, because motivation's fleeting, isn't it? It's like sometimes you just like you're just ready. I had a week like a few weeks back. You guys were away, and I had a week, and I was just like. I think like I taught 23 classes, and I rolled in I think 20 of those, and I was just like, just anything happened this weekend, I'll be in it, and I felt untouchable. And then literally the next week, you can just drop off a cliff, and you're just like you're not feeling it, you're not feeling motivated, but you still have to show up. It's more like just that discipline, isn't it? It's like you just sort of what you have to do, and you know that you should go, and you set yourself like these tasks. and just like, and just do it. But also, like you were saying before, it's like, sometimes I always think to myself, like, if I'm getting really like struggling with training or whatever, I think like, why do I do this? Like if it starts to really be a struggle, and I'm like, oh, it's because it's fun, it's enjoyable. Like when I roll, like today I rolled with Kyle. I haven't rolled with Kyle in months, and we rolled, and I was just like, I just kept saying, how fun is this? How fun is this? We were just cruising, and I was like, that's. You do it because it's fun. You can even the fighting, all the stress, like competing, things like that, all those things that come with it. At the end of the day, it's because has to be because it's fun. Like that's why you want to do everything, because it's like enjoyable and fun.
But I think it's not just that, especially what we do as in martial arts. It's fun, but it's challenging.
Yeah.
So it has to be challenging as well.
Yeah.
And I think this is where people get their motivation knocked, because they're doing it. Like, I really enjoy training. I love martial arts. It's the only thing. Like, we're talking about sports before, like saying what other sports could we talk about? I don't watch any other sports. The martial arts, combat sports is what I'm into. Yeah. So you're doing martial arts, you're doing your training, and then somehow your motivation gets lost somewhere along the way. Yeah. And I think it's because sometimes it's challenging, and you're not going to have the same session every time. Yeah. So sometimes you are the nail and sometimes you are the hammer. And then you have the one day, like last week I was smashing him and I was tapping him and I was doing this and I was pulling off all this stuff, and this week why is he getting the better of me? And you go away thinking, well, I've had the worst session, and that's what knocks your motivation a little bit, I think. And then if you stop training for a while, that really messes your motivation up. But I think it has to be challenging, and you got to accept that sometimes I try and get my head around, like I'm rolling and I'm dominating, I'm doing really well, or I'm striking and I'm doing really well. And other times I'm like, why am I so slow today? Why am I not catching what I normally do? And there's no reason. There's obviously so many different variables that are going to come into play. How have you slept? How much of training you've been doing? How much have they done? Blah, blah, blah. But sometimes there's nothing different from last week, but I'm just not on my ball today. So he said that knocks your motivation as well. But I think you have to be two things: fun but challenging, especially what we do. It has to be a bit of a challenge there as well.
I think some people as well, I think you kind of forget, because you've been through it so many times. Both of you would have been through it so many times where, like, there's times where I like walk out of the gym and I'm like, I'm quitting. Like, I'm like, what the hell? Like, I suck. Like, I suck. Like, I'm like, I'm terrible at this. I'm like,
I'm surprised you haven't, to be fair.
I'm like, why am I coaching? Like, I'm terrible. And then, like, other times you're like, no one can touch me. And then I think you forget. Like, I just know, that's just part of the course now, and you just deal with it, and maybe next week you'll be good. Like, and you just keep going. But it is funny, because I had a blue belt come up and talk to me the other day, and they said they actually quit, and they quit jiu-jitsu. And then they've come back, like they went away, and then they come back, and now they're like good again. And then I told him, I was like he told me why he was quitting. He's just said he was like doing crap. He was getting beaten by like other high level blue belts and beating him and stuff. And so he was like, if I can't beat them, what's the point? Blah blah blah. So I was going to quit, and I said, I like think about quitting. Like, it happens. Like, I not seriously, but I walk out going like, I'm terrible. Like, and then he was like, oh really? Like they don't think you'd think that. They think you're just like, think you're always good.
You're going to him. You're a blue belt, maybe getting beaten up a little bit. Imagine being a black or brown belt and then thinking this blue belt's like just handed it to me today. I was like, what the hell? So it does happen. You know what I mean? But it has to be that bit of challenge. It's like mountain climbing. I can't imagine that being enjoyable that much. You know, it's going to be a struggle the whole way, and you get to the top and I'm going to come back down again. But it's just that challenge of it and that accomplishment, and the feeling you get from that reward.
I think touching on what you were saying about like it comes and goes, like I think that's like why you've even heard the term, let's say, like, oh, like this fighter, like you can see he's hungry for it. Like I think literally motivation can be like your appetite at times, because like sometimes you're like so hungry, like you're just like super motivated, like, do you know what I mean? Let's go. But then like after I eat a big meal, right, like, and I'm well fed, like, oh, I can't even like think about having food. So like if you like go through a period of time let's say you really want to fight, and all your fights have like fallen through or something like that. You've seen everyone else get all these opportunities. Your motivation can be super high, right? Yeah. And you can be hungry for it, whether it's like, oh, I want to fight for the title, anything, right? And then you've got all this motivation for training, and everything's going really, really good. But I think not being aware of the fact that it can also be a fleeting emotion. So like if you're getting even like training fatigue, like you're training every single day, you're doing the same thing every day, you're going in, you're putting in like the work every day, you're grinding every single day, all of these things, like your motivation can 1000% just completely drop, and then you have all those thoughts like, oh man, do I want to do this, like, oh I don't know, oh I got bet up a little bit today, oh I'm not that good, right? And then I think it comes down to like, well, yeah, like you were saying, Steve, how you regain that motivation is like more important than just like having it in the first place, I reckon.
Yeah.
And then understanding, a big thing for me is understanding like what success actually means, because success is like a perspective. If you like go in and you train, right, and then you like get beaten up a little bit for that day, or let's say you have a fight and you lose the fight, a lot of people go into this realm of like, oh man, like I'm not really good, like I didn't do my best, or I lost. And especially if you like take multiple losses as well, it can really get in your head like, oh, this isn't for me and all this kind of stuff. But like success is literally a perspective. If you're in training like every day, you're going out and you're having these experiences where you're fighting, you're competing, you're doing the thing. Like you're doing like the thing that you want to do. So like if you're a fighter, what you do is fighting. So like you go in, you train, you learn stuff throughout that day, whether you realize it or not. Like you're going out and you're getting that experience, you're coming out more refined by the end of it as well. There's all these little successes that you're getting, whether it's being like a little bit more familiar with the feeling and the emotions of competing, like even dealing with like losses is like such a skill. Like if you have a champion that like doesn't deal with losses well, like they're not going to remain champion.
It's a hard one, because like you get some of the guys, and we've had some of the guys and girls at the gym who went on a tear from the beginning, and they beat everyone, and then after a number of fights they get a loss and they don't know what to do with it.
Yeah,
it's just like, whereas at the beginning you get like a loss and you win, you lost, when then you start building up from there, you sort of know what it feels like to lose and you know what it is. And it's not a perspective on how good you are. There's a lot of things involved in it. Yeah. So if we take for like, say if I was going to take Courtney, for instance, right? She went on a tear and just beat everyone in an amateur career, right? And then we get a one championship contract where we weren't getting fights.
Yeah. And
suddenly in 2 weeks' notice, we get a fight to Colby Northcote at the weight above.
Yeah.
This is like a 34-time world karate champion who's a big celebrity, superstar, blah-de-blah, on the biggest stage in the world, which he'd never fought on it before.
Yeah.
And even then, she went out and took it to her and just took it down, beating her up, and it just got caught with something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the first, like, real loss, I would say. Yeah. And then she goes, and we couldn't get a fight forever, and then she goes against a girl who she's beaten twice before.
Yeah.
And then fought her, and she 100% won that fight, but lost the decision.
Yeah, yeah.
And now she's got 2 losses on a pro record, and it's like, what the fuck? You know, like, that's going to get in your head. But there's not a perspective on your skill set.
Exactly, yeah.
But you can't let it get into your head. And 100%. It happens a lot to all different people. So sometimes you have this, like, it's not the best to have all these fights without having a loss, because you do eventually have that loss. You're like, what the fuck's gone wrong here?
What do you do? That?
Exactly. But
can do
again,
right.
like you've done everything right. This is just all these different things that happen
anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like there's not a lot you can do about it, because that was such a big thing. Got that adrenaline dump in the first one. Second one, you did everything right, been out for a while, and everyone thinks you've won, but you've actually got ripped off here. You know what I mean? So like, it happens, you know what I mean? And then you just got to move on and go, okay, my next one, whatever, and not carry it with you. But then some people do carry it with them, you know what I mean?
And that's not good for you. Like, I mean, if you, like you said, you could do everything right. You have like, not that you ever have a perfect training camp, but you show up, you put in the time and the effort, you focus on your training really well, you get your cardio on point, you've like focused on all your recovery, whatever it is, you go out, you're in a good frame of mind, your diet's been on point, everything's good, you go out, you have the fight, let's say like you go the distance and you feel like you've won every single round, you look back on it and you go, I actually, like when I look back on it, there's nothing that I could have at the time done better, because I remember pushing, I remember trying to think, I remember trying to figure it out. You do the best that you can, and ultimately there's been times in my career and stuff as well where I'm like, nah, easy, like my hands up, like I think I'm gonna win, like I've like, nah, a decision doesn't go my way. And I remember this was a very this really hurt me. It's one of the first times it happened. Everyone in the crowd, I remember watching back on the fight, you can see their faces, they're all like, oh my gosh, when the decision went up, right? And this fight meant a lot to me at the time, and I lost, and everyone around was like, what, we thought you won, right? And then how do you take that? I took it really badly initially that I lost, and I was like, oh, this is crap, right? But now, looking back, I think losses are so good, and sometimes even as a coach, looking at guys that are starting to progress into their careers, I think like losses are such a good thing for them. And I'm not,
you learn so much more.
And it's almost like,
but you only get this perspective from time. So like at the time, there's no point going backstage on that time or even a week later and talking to someone about it, because they'll be like, nah, that's fucking shit, and they're just like, everything's negative. Give it a while, give it a few weeks, you can look at it and you can watch it and you go, oh, actually, I did really well here, and this and that, and it's just what happened to the judges, give the decision to someone else or whatever, but I can learn from this, and I'm never going to get caught in that again, I'm never going to do this again, I'm going to improve this bit, and it's just going to give you a better perspective on fighting, whereas if you go out and you have a first round knockout, it's amazing, it's a highlight reel, but you haven't really learned much from it, and is it going to progress you? Probably not. It'll give you confidence, but if you don't do it again, it'll probably take that confidence away.
Let's break this down for all the viewers, right? So speak, because we're on the
all
topic.
All three of them.
I know, all three viewers, right? So on the topic of motivation, right? So let's just say, right, if you were to put like a bullet point, kind of like, I know it's not that concrete, right? But if you were to put like a bullet point, kind of like list or like step process for like motivation and processing your training in the gym, and then either wins or losses from competition, what do you think it looks like to have correct motivation, discipline, consistency, all that?
I think the first thing is positivity in whatever you're doing. So a lot of studies have shown that, like, if you look at the negative aspects of anything, or the fear of something, it doesn't really have much of an effect. So if you go, I'm going to go to the gym because I'm going to get fatter, that's why I'm going to go to the gym, it's not going to work. And people think that's what works. So they put like little they put like little pictures on a smoking packet to put people off from smoking. It doesn't actually work. So the studies, they thought it did, but the studies saying it doesn't. So you have to look at the positivity of things. You know, like how am I going to motivate someone through positivity? I'm going to do this because I'm going to feel this way, and then I'm going to act this way or whatever, and all the positive aspects are going to come out of it. And I think that's the way you got to coach as well. You can't just scaremonger people into doing stuff. It's got to be a positive. So everything's got to come from a positive aspect as number one. I would say. And then that's actually really interesting. I was just thinking there, because I did, for those of you that don't know, I did sports science when I was back in Ireland, and one of my modules was like sports psychology. And in looking at motivation specifically, you've got like either, especially like for athletes, they're either like intrinsically motivated, so that's just like anything kind of like internal, and then you've got like extrinsic motivations. And if you have like, just breaking that down, like you're on about positivity, all of those things, like for me, I would be like an intrinsically motivated person. So like, why do I do it? It's like I want to be like the best version of myself like possible. All of those things, like I enjoy the grind, like the challenge. I enjoy like looking at something, not being able to do it, but then after like trying and then learning like step by step, you kind of get to a position where you can do that thing. And I think that when you like are in the middle of your training, if you're losing motivation and stuff, like going back to those kind of like internal reasons why you do it, well, for me anyway, it like changes my mindset, makes me positive again. Because when I look at it, whether you lose, whether you've had a bad day, you're like, oh no, like
like, this is why I do it. Like, I do it because I feel good. Like, I've done it for this length of time. I'm still where I want to be, per se. And then, that positivity, like, really does make a good difference in everything. Like, if you go and train every single day, how fun is it at the gym? Like, it's good. It's a good atmosphere,
environment, good vibe.
And that's why we, like, it's such a magnet for people, because it's such a good, positive, fun atmosphere. You can come in, chat to everyone, and still get a really good, like, training session, and you're still hitting all the markers that you want to hit. But then if it comes to, like, fighting, if you just go completely negative, you're thinking about all the worst things that can happen, or like, oh man, I got beaten up in that scenario there, and you're in this negative mind space. If you would never have that kind of like attitude day to day, just going into the gym to train, right, when you don't have fights and stuff coming up, how is that going to make you, like, any better if you've actually got a fight and then you're going into a fight with that negative kind of, like, headspace? So trying to, like, keep that positivity, even if you're in, like, a really stressful situation like that as well, I think's, like, really important. And then one last thing I'll say, I'll jump it back to both E. If you do you ever watch, like, your old, like, fights or, like, competitions or anything to, like, re-spark that kind of, like, positivity?
Well, I think anything you watch from a while ago, like, it's just gonna take you back to that time, and it brings up that feelings again. You know what I mean? So it's like watching, like, an old movie. You know, the old movies that you watch when you were a kid, and it would, like, get you motivated, watching old Rocky or whatever it is. And then some of the movies, like, how did I ever watch that? But it still gets you in that same mind frame and gets you motivated again. So I think doing stuff like that's good. Using music's good. You know, like, but I think having to me, like, having a set idea of what direction you want to go in is going to help with the motivation, but also the reasons why you're doing it anyway. Like, so it's writing down stuff, but write down why you do this. Why do I train? Why am I training? What am I going towards? Then when it does get hard, you can look back at those and have a really clear idea of why you're doing this. Because if you're taken to a fighting, for instance, you're going to get beaten up every day. You're going to get tired. You're not going to eat what you want to do. You're not going to be able to go out everywhere you want to go out to if you're taking it seriously. And then you get to the point where you go, why am I doing this? I don't know why I want to do it. Backstage sometimes you're in the fight and you're like, I don't want to fight. Or why am I doing this? This is, like, ridiculous because I'm so stressed out. But if you have, like, really good reasons why I'm doing this, what do I want to get to? Where do I want to go from here? Then it sort of pushes you through and gets you back on track a little bit as well. And then having, I think, a reward system as well from your training. So, like, having little rewards, like, say, like, small goals on the way to that big goal. I know it sounds like one of them speeches there, but I think it really works well, because people go, oh, I want to fight, you know, like, but, like, it's so far away in the future. Like, okay, let's improve this first. Let's get this bit better. Okay, this technique, I'm starting to hit it now. In sparring, I'm starting to get this right now. In rolling, I'm starting to, like, really, I'm defending all these chokes now, where before I would just get choked out constantly with a dash stroke, whatever it's going to be. These are your little goals, but you have to have little rewards as well as you go on as well. And I think that's pretty good to put in place, but, like, immediate rewards. So what I mean is, like, if you're sparring and then suddenly we're having a good spar and you've never clipped me on the chin or whatever, and then suddenly you clip me with a right hand and a low kick, and then you did it again, and at the end of that session you're, like, on top of the world because you've never done that before. That's an immediate reward. Or if you, like, you tap me out, like, imagine that happening. You know what I mean? Just imagine that day when you do tap me out, like, that's going to be crazy. But you just be on top of the world, be the best day of your life. You know what I mean?
I'm retiring that day.
Or if someone, like, you're coaching someone and you give them feedback on a positive, really think, man, that is the best you've ever done there. That really sticks with someone, and that really helps them motivation as well. So it's because everyone don't like to admit it, but there's lots of social incentives out there. And this is why a lot of people put things on social media to get feedback and opinions, and that helps with their motivation as well. So all these people who put stuff out there, this is me training, this is me fighting, whatever, and they don't like to admit that they want to get this feedback, but studies have shown that's what's going to help motivate them. You know what I mean?
Extrinsic motivations I was telling you about. It could be like social status, or like fame. It could be like money, any of those things. But studies found, like, people or athletes specifically that are extrinsically motivated, they tend to like fail per se, or like really drop in performance and like things like that compared to the intrinsically motivated athletes, because those things can really fade a lot. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
You're not
like,
going to get the same thing back every time.
Yeah, no. But if you can go back to, I think that's good. So you got your main reasons. Like, this is why I do it. Whether you write them down, wherever it is, you can always go back to that. And look, if they change, and you can update it. But you've got your reasons, and then you've got like your like step by step kind of like routine or your schedule. Like, okay, right. So this is why I do it. This is where I want to be, or whatever. Okay,
this is my plan.
Yeah, how am I going to get to that? So I'm going to train this many times a week, and then hold yourself like accountable to that as well. Like, don't do it stupidly. Like, do it with a coach. Make sure it's actually accurate. You're not going to burn yourself out.
I've had this heaps of times, and literally recently I've had about 5 people come up to me with the exact same conversation.
Yeah.
And I've gone, right, Steve, this is my goal, and most of the time it's competing and whatever.
Yeah.
This is my training pattern, this is what I'm going to do and all that. And then I'm like, this is amazing, this is really good, because this is what you're doing, you're planning yourself out, but you got to make it realistic as well.
Yeah.
So to me, like, it's like, write your stuff down, this is why I want to do it, this is my plan to do it, but it's got to be realistic.
Yeah.
Because the people go, I'm going to train 7 days a week, I'm going to train 5 times a day, I'm going to do box and Muay Thai. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, you ain't going to maintain that.
That's and then as soon as this is like a thing I've been dealing with some of the jits guys lately as well, like wanting to compete and stuff. It's like, and then as soon as they don't hit those, because they're like, I'm going to go all in, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to compete on this date, and this is it, and I'm going to go, and it's like as soon as they don't hit that plan that they set out, then everything just like, next comp. And then I say to them all the time, like, I'm like, it'll just be the next one and the next one and the next one, because there's always going to be, you're not going to go all in. Like, you're a dad with a business and kids or whatever. It's like, and this is where even talking about this is different for everyone, isn't it? Because it's like somebody who's like on their way to the top, say like Kev's like looking at
UFC
champion or whatever. It's like so many things have to go right as well. Like, you have to have so many things. Like, or you have to have like, your natural attributes. You have to be good at it. You have to have like that mental toughness. You have to have that intrinsic motivation, and then you have to have luck on your side as well to be able to, like, there's so many things, and so and then so maybe your motivation, your discipline, the things that you've got to overcome are going to be a lot more than someone who just wants to do jiu-jitsu and never even wants to compete, because there's a lot of guys in the gym that don't want to compete, and you can go all the way to black belt without ever competing, which is what I think is good about jiu-jitsu. But it's like they're still like, maybe they need motivation in their own. I just want to train twice a week, and like that's their thing that they need to do. It's going to be a lot different. So it's completely different.
Very individual. It is very individual.
Everybody. But I find one thing that actually gives me a lot of motivation is when I did go to the SGT white belt comp, and Greg competed.
Love Greg,
so Greg's 42, and then the week he's a white belt. I'm not sure how long he's been training for. I can't remember. But
he's been training a while before, but then he's been really consistently lately, the last bit. And
so we did 2 PTs in the week coming up to the comp, just to refine his stuff that he's already doing good at, and just go over some stuff about the comp. And then he went in, and we had 10 people competing from the gym. And I just remember being like really impressed with Greg. Like, his jiu-jitsu was just so nice. Like, his jiu-jitsu was just so good. His listening was like, everything I said he would just do. And like, he won gold. And I'm like, here's a guy who's 42 years old, white belt. So like, really just starting his journey. Goes and it doesn't have to compete. Like, we always just go, there's comp coming up. If you want to go in it, go in it. And we seem to get the most numbers by not forcing.
You don't push the thing.
And then so that gives me motivation, because I'm like, well, I'm 37 now, and I'm like a brown belt, and then there's this guy who's just older than me, at a white belt just at the start kind of thing, and then going and putting himself out there into a comp, and so that motivates me, because it's like, but then I also find I think about this as well. I think guys that have probably like started younger
really good in whatever, you know, discipline it is, and they get to the peak or the pinnacle, and they get up there, and then once they sort of have that, they start to lose, or they get that decline, or they come off the other side. Now it makes it like they're not going to compete anymore. You're not going to fight anymore because you know, like you're not going to. You've been there and done it.
You can't do it forever.
And then on the other side, but whereas like a guy like Greg who's 42 starting. Going in that comp is sick, you know. But like course, somebody who, like, say you go to the UFC, you're not going to come back and go in like a lot of people aren't going to come back in and go in like a small local tournament anymore, and so you're going to lose a lot of like.
But that's where sometimes you got to change your mindset and you got to change the way you're thinking. So like we got a number of guys there. We got quite a big number of fighters now, and there's more want to fight this year. And some of the guys who are fighting like, I really find it hard to train when I haven't got a fight coming up. And it's like you got to change your mindset. You have to change your mindset into like, I want to get to the gym and I want to learn. I just want to have enjoy and skill acquisition. You know, I want to, and that you have to change it. You can't all be just fighting because you are never going to get that much better. You know what I mean? And I'm just being able to like change your mindset there and be able to motivate yourself. And but you gotta like take on board what everyone's telling you, the coaches are telling you. There's too many people trying to coach themselves, you know, and coming up with their own like training pattern and things like that. No, you're not going to get any better because you're going to do everything that you like doing and enjoying. We talked about it last time. It's like, no, do the stuff that you don't and get better and better and better. And your potential is like through the roof. You could be so good, but you're holding yourself back because you're just thinking that you're doing what you should be doing.
And obviously everyone like, nobody likes doing something that you're not good at. Like when you first start it, like it's so annoying because you obviously got the kind of like embarrassment of like, well, other people are watching me doing this and I can't do it. I'm like, I feel incompetent, like I don't have the confidence to do it. But you do it the first time, second time, third time, it's rubbish.
But it's easy when you're starting. It's not when when you get an ego and you've competed for a while and everyone sees Kevin is the guy, and now you've got to now do. Say you were rubbish at grappling, and now you got to do, Then you got to do jiu-jitsu, and then you're just getting your asses handed to you by white belts or whatever. Or say that was the case. That is like hard one to get your head around because or as a coach, not like you were saying about going back into competition for the first time. It's so much more pressure than it is when you first start. But not really, but it's pressure you put on yourself. So it's being able to change your mindset. And it's the same for motivation.
Because it really, like even, you change your mindset and you're like, okay, right, I'm okay like with like the circumstance that I'm in. Let's say I can't do this skill or something, right? And like, I'm an experienced,
so maths, for instance.
I'm an experienced fighter. I've like gone through my fair share of like different martial arts, all these things, right? And now I'm coming up to this like hurdle in front of me. Oh, I can't do this skill, and like other people can see that. It can be really embarrassing. But if you just get out of that like stupid headspace that you're in, you do it and you humble yourself. That's why I love like MMA in our gym. Like you have to humble yourself. When you do that, you do it 10, 50 times. Suddenly start getting the hang of it, and then that's like for me, that's a huge motivation. Oh yeah, this is what I do. I love that learning. I can now do this skill, and then you can kind of like transfer that to everything. So even if you can't do it initially, like just put in the time, get over your like pride a little bit, and then in time you'll be able
to be fair, using you as an example, you've been able to change that in yourself. Like as in like you weren't like that when you first started. No, what I'm saying, but as in like when you would spar, someone tags you, you're like, I'm gonna fuck you up. You know what I mean? Like, and it would be a war. But now it's totally different, and you're watching. It's very playful, and it's very like, I like to watch it. It's nice. It's not like, oh, this is gonna escalate quickly. You know what I mean? Like, you can if you wanted to, but you choose not to. So that's where where it comes up. You know, I don't know if you agree with me or not.
No, I actually,
but you know what I mean? Like,
keep it in check a lot.
Exactly. But now. So much better, you know what I mean? And the people, I see a lot of people in the gyms change, and I could be the same. You clip me in the head, I'm like, oh, you're gonna get it now. But then it shouldn't be. It should be like, nah, it's pretty cool.
Because that's mutually rewarding as well. Like, for example, I'll just use someone in the gym. Like, if I'm like more experienced, pro fighter or whatever, and then someone's like still amateur, and they've just caught me like super clean through the chin, knocked out my mouthpiece, like with a kick or something, right? Like, in my initial reaction inside, it's like, oh, like, I'm gonna absolutely crack you in a second.
Yeah.
But like, if someone's just done that, like, and they're up and coming, that's awesome. Like, so then trying to rewire, I've definitely made an effort to try and rewire and go like, no, that was a wicked shot.
It's hard to do.
And maintain being playful, because that's gonna allow them to like be like, oh, gain a bit of confidence, not get absolutely punished for doing something good. And then for me as well, like, rather than going, okay, I'm just gonna use my full power now to just try and like get one back. It's like, oh, I should have kept my hands up, like, you know, and just kind of learn from it a little bit.
Again, that's the thing about skill set and improving.
Yeah.
I'm saying to a lot of the guys who like certain people, I'm like, you could demolish this guy in 20 seconds, but what are you going to learn from that, and how that's going to help him?
Yeah.
So you just take this away, do this instead, take that power away, let's just do this, and we'll take something else in the play.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be coming more to you. Yeah. They're going to get more confidence. They're going to, but you're going to work your skill set. And then when we can put everything together, then you're going to be even more of a beast. You know what I mean?
I think that comes down to like a really good kind of like understanding of like discipline and etiquette, and that's probably something that we can like chat about after we get a little top up and stuff as well. Yeah. But like, I think that would be good, because no one like initially tells you to have that mindset about like being like, obviously you're sparring and stuff, but still having an awareness of like the other person, yourself, all of these things. But I think it'd be good, chat about gym etiquette and stuff.
Definitely. All right. And we're back. So, what are you writing?
So I was showing a picture.
Do you want a picture? Nice. So, we want to talk about a little bit about fighter etiquette, gym etiquette. Yeah.
That's a cool one. I reckon, yeah.
Or do you want to start off?
There's heaps to chat about that. I think fighter etiquette, start off with that one, because I feel like, fighter etiquette and gym etiquette are like slightly different. Obviously, it's still like how you conduct yourself like within the gym. But I think, start with fighter etiquette. What does fighter etiquette look like in training?
In training?
In training.
In what way? You got to explain a bit better than that.
So, obviously, like, everyone's, like, individual. Like, people, like, think differently. They, like, behave differently, different characteristics. Some people are more outgoing. Some people are a little bit more, like, intrinsic. But when you're training with all of these different people. I feel like there's a couple, like, kind of like standard rules that just like apply, or a little bit like understanding and an awareness to bring into when you're training. So let's say like fighter etiquette for like if you're sparring particularly.
Well, sparring, obviously, as a fighter themselves, they want to get the most out of that sparring as they can. But there's certain things in place where you got to make sure that you're looking after your partner. So that would be the number one. So like, okay, I want to compete, and there's going to be all different levels in this sparring session. Some people I'm going to be so more superior than. I'm going to be so much more skilled than. Other people are going to really like, I'm going to be on the defense. You know what I mean? And then other people I'm going to be like sort of the same level at. So how do I get the most out of it while still looking after that person? That should be the first thought when I'm doing stuff. So I'd be like, okay, if I'm going someone a lot better than, maybe I'm going to work on this particular skill set and take another skill set away, so then they can work, but also I can work and improve myself.
So step one, acknowledge their skill level.
Well, there is skill levels.
So I'm just thinking like from really practical. So like if you're gonna spar, acknowledge the skill level. So like if I'm gonna spar someone, it's day one in the gym. The way that I spar that person compared to someone who's like high level, bigger than me, like it's going to be a very different way of sparring. So I think that's good. Like, acknowledge their skill level and then adapt. But when you adapt the way that you spar, the way that you train, that doesn't mean that you're not getting anything out of it. No. Like you said, like still.
I sometimes saw the guys go, "Oh, you want to go like just take the power out a little bit," and they go like super slow, and I'm like,
Yeah.
Can you not go quickly
Yeah.
and then still work this, and we're going to work this and that,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh yeah, and they start going like just too well slow. You know what I mean?
I have
But
that
they're always
control,
going to be
yeah.
a different level, but there's different bodies, and there's always something to do with training with different bodies. Whether you're doing jiu-jitsu, whether you're doing like sparring, you're going to get something from that. When you're rolling with someone who's a 100 kilogram guy, or rolling with someone who's a 60 kilogram guy, rolling with a white belt to a purple belt to a black belt, it's all going to be very different, and you're going to get different things from that different experience. Yeah.
I think taking into account as well, something that I've found in sparring, because I'm a coach as well. As a coach, you've got like a coaching hat, right? You're like obviously thinking about the other person. Like if I'm sparring someone and I just happen to be in like coaching mindset, I'll go like, I can see that they're dropping their lead hand, so I'll like touch up this kick, and I'll let them know, like I nearly got hit there, and next thing they're lifting the hand up. So in my head I'm going like, that like they're kind of learning from that, if that makes sense. They're standing too narrow with their stance, they're very kickable. I'll touch a couple leg kicks, right, and kind of helping them get better in that scenario. But then if I'm in like fighter's hat, like fighter mindset, I am working on things that I need to work on, and I'm focusing on myself a little bit more than them. And I think that like when you're on about like acknowledging like skill levels and kind of matching your partner a little bit and kind of taking care of them, just because like you're sparring a coach isn't like a free ticket to like go absolutely ham to see if you can like crack a coach, because like,
but that's like an ego thing as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like that people are going to be like, if I can crack him, then that's going to be make my day, and then it's going to show everyone else how good I am. You know what I mean? So it's an ego thing on that way, but then it's an ego thing from the other side as well, as when you're sparring, is like if they do crack you, am I going to punish them for that? You know what I mean? And then sometimes you do have to go be the same. So time and place. No. Sometimes you gotta. Okay, this person is not learning, and they go on for the swinging for the fences. So I've got to humble them a little bit. But most of the time, you can get away with like just having a little chat with them, about how hard they're going to go.
Because I think sometimes they just don't know, do they? It's like they don't realize that you can maybe beat them that well, like or that easily, and they think like I'm just like I'm really good and blah, I'm better than Kev or whatever, like I can take him out. But really maybe Kev at the time is working on his lesser skills, and so he's getting caught, and then this person starts to get like overzealous or whatever, and then so you've got to come back. I think that was like a huge thing, like a big learning experience for me was when I was a blue belt, I would just use like my A game all the time. Just wanted to every round I just wanted to win. And then I realized like it was taking me ages to like get to purple. Like I've never really been like a belt person. But then when I was like, all of a sudden I was like, I really would like my purple belt. And then I realized, I was like, okay, so why aren't I getting my purple belt? And I realized it's because I'm constantly playing my A game. I had no game off of my back at all. And so then I was like, I'm going to start every single round off my back. And so obviously I'm getting smashed. Like my guard's getting passed all the time. Like people that I'm way better than are beating me because they're passing, getting on top. But, and then the murmurs start going and everyone thinks you're like crap or whatever. Or there's a few people that think they're like way better than you. But you, in your own mind, you have to like pack away your ego and know that, no, I'm doing this for a reason. Yes, I am going to get beaten. Yes, I am going to get caught, whether it's like sparring or jiu-jitsu or whatever. But then also you don't have to do that all the time. So sometimes when I was in like maybe in a bad week, like I was just feeling so like you're just getting like beaten so bad, and then you're like, today I'm just it's all A game. I don't care, like I'm just gonna play my best stuff. Or you come across someone that's like really starting to get cocky, and then you're like, okay, I need to like show them what you can do.
I think that's definitely like a really big like thing that happens behind the scenes for like. Well, coaches specifically, when we're like rolling or when we're sparring and stuff, like how many times, right? Like just even like a ratio of how many times you've either rolled in the week, right? Even like somewhat competitively, that you have like that you take your foot off the gas pedal
Yeah.
How often do you do that in training when you're rolling with guys that are like at a lower level than you? Or would you say that you like just full foot on the gas?
Oh, no. Yeah, like... It'd be pointless.
Exactly.
It'd be pointless to roll at my full potential because they're going to get nothing out of it.
100%.
And I'm going to get nothing out of it because I'm just what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You know?
And the same goes into sparring as well. Like if you're at a higher level, like whether people see it or not, people can look and say like, oh man, like that guy's actually doing really good against like the coach or against like a high level guy. But like you're literally like your foot isn't on the gas pedal, you're taking it off for that kind of etiquette of like, I want to kind of take care of this person, let them work stuff, I can still work stuff on my end, and you still have a really, really good spar. But that goes like hand in hand as well, because like as a person that's lower level, if you feel the need to like up your power and like intensity to try and do well, like you need to remember that like that person has full capability to do the exact same. And like if you're like up in power to try and like get one back and stuff, you're not going to get any better. Like, you know what I mean? If you're like swinging shots and you're just like trying to catch, and let's say you even do land, like we were speaking earlier on about like being able to keep yourself in check. So even if like someone did manage to land on me really, really well, that doesn't just mean that I'm going to like automatically match where they're at. And some people, I feel like it is a balance, because some people like you can have a word with and you can say, hey, like you need to lighten up and stuff, and they're all right for a while, sometimes comes back into it as well. And look, sometimes it's enough and people get the gist. I didn't think about it that way. And then they start to get a much better realm of their training and sparring. But also I've had experiences where people that doesn't sink in. I remember one example. I was sparring in the MMA fundamentals class. I was coaching the class. It was odd numbers, and I was like, I'll jump in and I'll spar. So as I was sparring, I was doing my thing because it was odd numbers. It was all great. All great. And next round finishes. Everyone's having their break. We come in for the next round. And I'm looking around and I don't have a partner. And I'm like, oh, that's a bit strange. Like, why don't I have a partner? There was odd numbers. That's why I jumped in. And there's this guy sitting out, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why is he sitting out? I go over to him, and he's just had a spar with a newbie, and the newbie's hurt him, like, badly, right? So he doesn't, so he's like sitting there and he doesn't want to spar. And I'm like, whoa, this is an MMA fundamentals class. This is flow sparring. I've even gone through that with everyone. So, like, I was like, this shouldn't happen. Who was the guy? Find out who the guy was, and then without making a big scene, let's go next round. I was just gonna see how he's sparring. Started sparring him. I noticed he's got like the 4-ounce gloves on. So obviously we train in the 7-ounce for any MMA training. Really, you don't train in the pro gloves. But it's his first class. So I'm like, oh, that's all good. First thing he does is he smacks a leg kick on me as well, like hard, like so hard. And I don't have shin pads on because I'm not kicking. I'm just doing boxing sparring. So I said to him, I was like, oh, hey, bro, like, like you're going a bit hard and everything. Like obviously you got like smaller gloves on. I don't even have shin pads on. I can't kick you back. So go a little bit lighter. He's like, yeah. All good. Kept going a little bit more. Did the exact same thing again. And I was like, hey man, come on, like chill out. And this went on for like a good little bit until he ended up throwing like, he literally just swung like a big massive handbag at me, clocked me in the face with the 4-ounce. And I literally had not landed one thing up until this point. I spoke to him about 4 times. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to jab him the same power that he's throwing at me. And he stepped in and I just jabbed him. And I remember he just blew up straight away and he started mouthing off at me and he couldn't take it at all. I ended up like, causing a big scene, walked off the end of the mats, and then I had to go over and have this big conversation with him about like what actually just happened. Because to him, that was super unfair what I just did. But it's like, actually, no, I just did. I gave you a little taster of experience of what you were doing to other people.
To other people, not just to you. That's the thing. As a coach, it's got to trickle down because it's like, when you're walking around watching people roll and stuff, you see that a lot. It's like if this guy is like, or say I roll with someone and they're going like, they're trying to hurt me. And then I'm like, well, what's he doing to the other? I'm the best person in this class. And this dude's trying to like beat me down to a pulp. Then I realize I'm like, what's he doing to the other people? Like I just saw he just rolled with like a guy that's been doing it for 3 months. And you're like,
that's the thing about it. You got to like, that's where the education comes in. Whether it's through,
Yeah.
I'm going to show you,
exactly.
or I'm going to talk to you, I'm going to tell you,
And
that's
showing
where
is like a last resort.
Yeah,
you don't just
100%.
wanna,
Yeah.
You don't just want to like
No.
enrolling, like someone's going way too hard.
Yeah.
They're not quite getting the memo. You're flowing.
Yeah.
They don't have the understanding to see that you're flowing. You maybe try and say something to them. They're getting overconfident. It's not like a great feeling, at least for myself as a coach, like to just go hard on someone just to kind of put them in a place to give a bit of understanding. It's not nice. And then when you're sparring, it isn't a great feeling of like, oh, I'm gonna have to like hit this guy a little bit.
It doesn't happen too regular.
No.
You know what I mean? It does happen, and that's the thing with fighter etiquette or even just training etiquette. It's like the whole idea should be. I mean, we've got like a big group of people at the gym.
Yeah.
A loyal group of people who all train, like mostly just train in that gym. Some people are little floaters and stuff, but like most people train in that gym, and the idea is to build everyone up. That's why you need the etiquette, because if we build everyone up, if we show them how to do it properly and how to train, and then this is it, when you're sparring with someone, you drop me left hand, I'm going to kick you in the head, like type thing, whatever, they're going to get better, and that's a better training partner for me now. So overall, it's going to make the gym better and better, and I think that's what we do really well. But it's having that etiquette to be able to do that, you know what I mean? In that build up each individual to make this whole team like very, very strong. And again, it starts with looking after the person that you're with. Whether that's looking after them by educating them, how this is how you do it, or looking after them like you friggin' need to wash your gi. You know what I mean? Like or whatever, because like it's a whole community and culture there. So like they need to know this is how hard you go on sparring. This is how etiquette is. We expect from you is turn up on time and respecting my time, and not turning up late. You know what I mean? It's all these different things. It's all the hygiene factors of, I'm just going to train if I've got like some kind of skin condition. You know, like it's like you got to take everything because we're trying to look after everyone in the gym, so everyone can train and everyone can get better. And that's the whole point of having like a fighter etiquette. You know what I mean?
Because they transfer into each other. I feel like that same kind of thought process of like, okay, this is the etiquette that I need to like uphold while I'm fighting, while I'm training. Like, so for example, like I remember a member was watching you and me spar, and they were like, man, like that was so entertaining watching you spar. And I was like, oh yeah, you reckon? They're like, man, it was so cool. Like you were throwing so many different things, so like back and forth and all this stuff. And I remember I was like, yeah, that was so much fun. And basically what I used that to explain was like, it was like that because you weren't trying to take my head off. I wasn't trying to take your head off. We had a mutual like understanding that like, oh, like you're kind of watching out for me, I'm still watching out for you in that aspect. But because we both knew that, like you're still able to have this really, really good spar and it's still exciting and stuff. That kind of like etiquette of like, okay, I'm going to behave like this, that still transfers into like, showing up to class on time and stuff, like, you know what I mean? If you're like rocking up like 10 minutes late and then you're not really saying anything to the coach, like, it's not that's not the kind of headspace you want to be in, like in training anyway. It's like you shouldn't be doing that.
You try and like make allowances for people, because like say like if I'm working, if I finish at 5, I'm in the city, I'm trying to get back to training, and I know like Lee is always late, someone like, you know, but he tells me, he goes, I'm only ever going to get this time. It's like, sweet, I know you're going to get this time, thanks for telling me, you know, it's nothing you can do about it. This is your job. Well, but like there's certain places, like I was training like Holland a lot, Majero gym, you turn up 1 second late, the door's shut, you ain't training. And they don't care. They don't treat like a business in that way. They're like, nah, this is how it is.
There's gyms in Perth that I know of that lock the doors. But I agree. Like we've had this conversation before. I mean, when it comes to jiu-jitsu, like I have, like I know exactly what I expect, and we've spoken. But it's like, I'm fine for Lee to rock up 45 minutes late. I don't care, because he works every single day. He finishes work late. I prefer him to come late and train than not, you know. I'm fine for people to come late. Like I would way prefer you come late than not come at all. But see, someone like Lee, he'll stand on the edge of the mat and then he'll wait. Or he'll call you out or whatever, because sometimes you don't know. And then you'll go over, he'll bow in. And then he'll say like, what are we doing? Where do you want me? Whatever. And then you just go bang, rather than just rocking up. Or also, like, he gets there and he gets on the mat as soon as he possibly can. Like, you see people come in late
and then they just dawdle around, and then they
Lounging
come on, and you,
around,
as a coach in your head, you've already got the numbers, you know who's doing what, you know who's rolling where, and then all of a sudden there's like someone standing out, and you're like, oh, we had even numbers. What? Oh, this person just rocked up to come on.
And also not warmed up. They're more susceptible to injury, things like that. You know, there's all these different things to take it. Yeah,
it's kind of like it'll roll. It has a roll-on effect.
Yeah,
like, you know, if you like, you're like rocking up late and stuff. Like what's your kind of attitude or your preparation or like anything for like how you're actually going to be like in that session. Coming up to the mat, are you just like lounging around? You're not kind of trying to be hasty, knowing that the coach is like looking at you, trying to accommodate you, having a respect for you. Oh, I'll let you jump into the class. Like, and sometimes people come up and it's just like, oh, what's happening? You know, I mean,
and I don't think you have a respect for that until you coach.
Yeah.
So there's like this person, like had someone coach for me one session the other day, and they were like, I have a newfound respect for you. Like, he goes, that is so hard because you're trying to organize all these different people, and then you get someone who's turned up late. And so again, sometimes it happens. I've been late for things before, like, but like it was all the time, and it's like you just don't respect this at all. Everyone else has turned up. Like, there's no reason for you to be late, or there's no reason for you not to acknowledge when you get to the jiu-jitsu mat and you come onto there. There's no reason for you to come with that, wearing that rashi which is falling to pieces, and it's plagued. I mean, with germs or whatever, you know, and you're going to get someone else like sick. There's no reason. There's certain etiquette that we know for every place and every gym in the world, whether it's hygiene stuff, whether it's tardiness, whether it's whatever it's going to be, whether it's looking after your partner, that you know you have to do. And these things you have to follow, and there's a reason you have to follow it. And when someone doesn't do that, it's like, it's very disrespectful.
Because you're part of that gym, you're part of that community, like whether it's coming in, like, keep shoes or slides on, like, off the mat, like, and
it annoys the hell out of me. It's like I always do it. Like, I just, and what's the reason? Okay, this is the reason. That we're on the mat, we clean the mats all the time. You come off the mat, these are where the walkway is. You're going to go to the bathroom. You're going to have to wear shoes because there is germs going to be there. Even though we clean it every day, it's impossible not to. And then you're bringing it back on the mat because you can't be asked to put your shoes on. And then they're just like, well, why are you better than everyone else? It annoys the shit out of me. It really does.
So and if you can do the little things, you can do the big things. Like, you know what I mean? So like wear your slides when you're off the mat. When you get to the mat, obviously take off your slides. If you're late to class, like, wait on the side of the mat. And what I've found as well, and I think might be because I'm like younger and stuff as well. Like, I see guys rock up to your classes for jiu-jitsu and stuff, and like I really appreciate the respect that is shown. Even as a coach, like when I rock up late, like I've done it like heaps of times as well. It's not good, but when I rock up late, I'll come up to you and I'll make an effort to like stand on the mat, bow, and like I'll apologize for being late, because even if I have like all the justification like in the world, like I still, hey, I'm sorry I'm late, I'm about to jump in, show that respect. I've had like people like almost like think there's like a pardon for that because I'm like younger and stuff as well. Like,
but I do it. I've been late to your classes before. And I stand on the side of the mat, and you've turned around and seen me, and then you're like, oh, like you're almost shocked, and it's no, I do it. I wait. You say,
well, the thing is,
sorry, Kev, can I jump in? Yeah, cool.
If it's etiquette and everyone's doing it, everyone should do it. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be like, I don't do it because I'm going to your class. I should be doing the same thing. And then hopefully I do, you know, like if I ever do any classes and things like that, you know, so you have to follow these principles.
I mean, like when it comes to jiu-jitsu, I think, you know, standing on the edge of the mat, if you're late, bowing to the mat, it's bowing to the center of the mat every time you come on and off. It's just what you do. Like some gyms have massive amount of rules. We don't have a lot.
It's just respect, you know?
Lining up in rain quarter. I like that. Gi, no gi. You know, obviously MMA is different, but still, like, line up in rain quarter. One day, if you're like, oh, what is this, whatever. One day you're going to be up the front, and you've earned it. You've spent longer. Rolling, when it comes to rolling, like I always say to the guys, if you're two white belts and there's a blue and a white belt, the blue and the white belt get right of way, okay? But it's not. It's like it's not
push them over. It's like if I'm rolling, me and you are rolling, and I'm getting too close. I'll see it. Let's move. I'll move. Yeah, but like there should be like some kind of etiquette to follow. You know what I mean?
If we're the higher belts rolling in that area, and then me and you, and you're in a spot like
Yeah.
You know, and you see someone's coming, we'll move.
Yes.
But most, you know, other than that, it's like the lower ranks just give right away to the higher belts, but it's a mutual respect, okay? But that is something we've earned after doing the sport
Endless
for that
hours
many
on the
years.
mat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then they're going to get that too, because it's something to look forward to that you get. To have.
100%. Yeah.
Washing, like having
even
clean
gear, like
having clean gear, that's like massive. Like fingernails, toenails, all completely trimmed.
How many times I've been asked, is that how many times do you wash your gi? I'm like, every time. Every time. You wash your stuff every time.
And
they're like, okay.
I've got 2 belts now as well, so I can wash my belt every time as well, because that's on the outside getting...
And everyone realises the belt hasn't got mystical powers if you wash it. Everyone knows this,
But it's like... And not only doing multiple classes. If you're doing multiple classes, you might be doing 3 classes in a row, 3 hours of training. Please, just like, you want to have at least a change of a rash.
If you're gonna train, if you're gonna train that much, like, go get gear to
just have
it.
at least a change, because that's the worst thing. It's like, I might come into a class, like you might come into no-gi after MMA or something, and then you partner up with a guy that's just finished MMA and he's absolutely soaking wet, and you're nice and dry. Yeah, you're going to get sweaty and wet at some point, but at the start, it's like,
I was going to say, you're touching cold sweat and stuff.
Just
as
go
well,
a towel and a change of clothes, like, so you can just like, we do it. Everyone should do it. So like, I go and like quickly clean off, get some, you know, like, what do you call it?
Wipes.
Like wipe up, change my gear, jump back on. Got a dirty gear bag, all your dirty gear, wash it as soon as you can.
It's because we've been to other places, been to other gyms where they don't follow any kind of procedure. Like, everyone comes in and goes, oh man, you guys are like on the ball with it, but still things can pass around, you know what I mean? So on a hygiene aspect, we need to all be on the same boat. On an etiquette in general, we all need to be following the same rules.
Because think about like the effect. Like, again, like, it's the gym that you want to train in. So if you take any joy or any kick out of like, oh, I train at Wolves Den, it's such a good gym, keep it a good gym, you know. And if you go and you train, it actually doesn't matter how many times you train, like a week and stuff, but like any gym anywhere is going to be susceptible to things like ringworm, like staph. It's just kind of like one of those things that go hand in hand with the sport, right? But that being said, like, having onus to like prevent that, and like whether it's like after a class is just finished, like, man, I'm a coach, and I've had the amount of times I've had people come up to me like Sam, for example, like, oh man, like, you're a coach, like, you shouldn't be mop, like, I'll mop for you, and I'm like, nah, man, like, it doesn't matter who you are, like, we all finish class, go grab a mop, like, and mop the mat, like, you're not better
it's for
than
the general
else.
good, and I don't want to get anything. You know what I mean? So we're just trying to keep it as clean as possible. Best thing we can do. But I think just following that etiquette, fighters, the general public, anyone who's trained at the gym, there's got to be some etiquette that we follow, you know.
Just one more point on the etiquette I think of is like, because when you're talking about like looking after all your partners, like all your training partners and things like that, it's not just about you, but also like when a coach is teaching, or even when you're in that class drilling, it's like, you know, it might be something so boring, like just an armbar or just like a basic like striking setup, and you might have done it a million times and think you're amazing at it. But it's like, just pay attention and be quiet while the instruction's happening, because some people are like, you don't know what they're missing out on to get to training. Like, some people are literally like, you know, leaving like crying kids at home, or like they're like doing everything they can to make it twice a week. And they need to get the most they can out of that session. You might be training 10 times a week, and you're just like, oh, we've done this 3 times today. Like, I've done this class multiple times. But if you are like talking or stuffing around or lazing around or not drilling with intent, then you're taking away from your partners that may only be able to get in twice a week. And
you're taking away from your own improvement as well, because no one's perfect.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I guarantee you, like, it's a real peeve for me. Like, if I'm teaching a class as well, and it comes back into like the etiquette and the respect. Like, if I'm teaching and I see like 3 or 4 faces in front of me, like really invested, like listening, and I know that they want to like get a lot out of it, and then maybe like over the side other people are talking or like just kind of looking off at nothing, like all of those things, I guarantee you, well, first of all, it's disrespectful to me, because like I'm trying to like like impart my knowledge like to you guys and put in effort. I could just be like, all right, let's just roll or let's just do whatever. But I'm trying to like give you like my 10 cents worth anyway. And then I guarantee like like those people, if you actually just like you said, listened, like quietened up, and you actually focus and you watch and you take it in, I guarantee you're gonna learn something, pick up something. Even if you've done it 3 times that day. Welcome to like jiu-jitsu training, all these things where you got to do it 10,000 times before you get it. I guarantee you there'll be one thing if you actually just give it your time. You're like, oh, like I picked that up, and you'll get better. And then vice versa for everyone else. It just like brings up that level.
None of your skills are perfect. They can always get better. Like I say that all the time. I'm like if you told me your armbar is perfect, like I'd be like. You know, you failed.
My armbar is perfect.
You failed somewhere because you should always be able to like sharpen that. Like it should always get better. Like you're finishing 100% of armbars. You know what I mean? So it's like even if if I come to any of your classes and it's just a basic thing, I'm not going to sit there like I'm not going to be like I wish I didn't come in or leave this class. I'm going to sit there and just be like, because you never know, like I'm going to think or I'm going to try and work my head around it some more, or look at different avenues. Like
100%.
That's etiquette.
Right. That's etiquette, yeah. Okay, well, I think we're done for another one. Hopefully we'll have another podcast very, very soon. We're trying to keep them as regular as possible now, and we're back into the new year. But, anything you want to hear, anything you want, anyone you want on the show, or anything you want us to cover, let us know.
Awesome.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you. Goodbye. Thanks.